It's time for the most well-known sports radio icon in St. Louis. The show that begs you to answer the question, can I ever be this good? It's time for the Charlie Tuna Show.
Presented by Ameren, Illinois.
All right, welcome to the Charlie Tuna Podcast. It's our Thursday night edition. Of course, Thursday night we have the incredible Olympic champion, the brother doctor, known all over the world, Dr. Rick Lehman. What's up, Doc?
Not much. All good. I'm back and working, and everything's pretty good.
You know, I hate to bring this up to
you. You want to mute your TV, though, first? You want to mute your TV?
Huh?
Okay.
There, yeah, all I can hear is Tuna's TV. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Doc, looking at the Democratic convention at all?
Say that again?
Have you been watching the convention at all?
No, I haven't. I've been just working.
Okay, smart man. Hey, let's talk about a few. We haven't been on in a couple of weeks. Yesterday, I keep hearing that COVID is on the rise back. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the numbers are going up a little bit. I don't think it's alarming, and I don't think the virus is all that virulent. I don't think people are getting very sick, but the numbers have gone up a little bit, and I think it's cyclical. I think you're going to see that. Summer numbers are going to go up, winter numbers are going to go down, and hopefully, it will stay pretty manageable. I think that's going to be the key.
Dr. Rick, what is this mpox that I'm hearing about that started in Central Africa, but there's been reports in Thailand and
Well, that's a big problem. So they used to call it monkeypox. They changed the name to mpox, and it is a significant problem. And the numbers are going up in Central Africa. And the question is it going to spread? And when these things start, there's always this issue of, is this going to be well contained in just a few cases? We had a kind of an Ebola scare where everybody thought it was going to take over the world, and we were able to contain it. A few people got it in the States, and we're able to treat it. So I think the mpox is the same. If it stays contained in Central Africa, it doesn't spread, and we have to treat it, and we can treat it, it'll stay contained. If we can't contain it, it's going to be like COVID, except mpox is a lot more virulent. More people will die. So in any of these viruses, if we can't keep it, if we'd have kept COVID in China where it started, which is what should have happened, none of this would have happened. The rest of the world would never know about it. That didn't happen for possibly many reasons. One reason is the Chinese probably didn't want it to happen. They didn't want to keep it contained. But regardless, if mpox stays contained, we're good. And if it doesn't stay contained, we could be in a world of hurt.
Maybe we probably talked about this before, Dr. Rick, but how come we were able to keep Ebola from coming to the States and really being something that extended outside, and Zika also? How were we able to contain those from spreading into the United States as much?
Well, I think the key is two things. One is identifying who the people are, and then what the at-risk cohort is, and then walling them off, and then finding the people that have it and treat them and separating them. So we never really did that with COVID. Everybody gave COVID to everybody, and we never really identified the people that had it and walled them off. And we didn't have a treatment, so we didn't really treat the people that had it. And so we had two or three issues going on. So I would say at this point, if we're worried about Zika or some of these other viruses, and they are terrible viruses, right away you have to contain them, and you have to find out who has them, treat those people, and then make sure they're quarantined. And as long as we don't identify kind of the safe zone, we're going to live to regret it. And I think that's what will happen with mpox.
It's Thursday night. My guest is the incredible Dr. Rick Lehman. Since you were talking about different diseases, I can't believe summertime is just about over. We always get another virus. What virus should we be worried about coming into the winter months?
That's a good question, and I think what we're going to see is we're going to see RSV, which is a respiratory virus, and I think that's going to be on the rise. And there's a number of viruses that they're watching that are influenza cohort viruses. So I think those are the two big ones, and that decides whether we're going to have a very bad virus season or a very good virus season, and also decides if the vaccine is going to be fruitful or not. So if the vaccine works out well and they have a high percentage because they've picked the right virus strains, then everybody is immune. Many people are immunized and we don't have to worry about it. On the other hand, if we miss the boat and we're at 12, 13%, then you got 90% of the people that are going to go ahead and spread the virus, then you have a problem.
Dr. Rick, it's probably been enough time now that I don't know if we have the data on this or not, but do we know how many Olympians got sick from being at the Olympics? I'm sure they had to be drained and their immune system has to be pretty low after all that eventful 2 weeks or 3.5 weeks, whatever it was.
We saw a lot of kids that were sick, a lot of kids with eye infections and nose infections, mostly from the Seine River. And we saw a lot of kids that were sick just from, like you said, kind of the stress of the Olympics. And they were kind of beat down, colds, feeling bad, but not really, no fevers or anything. So, again, I think that number is pretty high. And the reason I think it's pretty high has to do very much with the stresses, um, being away from home, being in a small hotel room, and the workouts, the media, and there's so much stress and there's so much pressure on these kids that I think a significant number of them go home and get sick, and I of them. Ooh. All have kind of flu-like symptoms and bump back up so we can send back to Europe to run.
Dr. Rick, what happens? You just mentioned something I thought about because it happened to me years ago. What happens when you got a child that goes away to college for the first time and they get so homesick away from home that they are sick? Is there medication they can take?
Well, normally what you take is a anti-anxiety medicine, and a lot of pediatricians will actually give anti-anxiety medicines both to the parents and the child when they're going away to college because of the changes in the family life, the stresses of the child leaving, the athlete leaving, the family. That completely changes the family dynamics. Mom and dad are crying. Mom's always crying, and it just is a very tough situation. So the medicine that we've always prescribed has been Xanax or some kind of neurotropic drug to kind of calm you down. And that's worked actually pretty well. You prescribe it for about 6 weeks. But some people are just going to be unbelievably homesick, and some people are going to be okay. But I think the truth of the matter is you kind of got to get through that, right? So if we medicate you for 6 weeks and then you kind of get off the medication, sooner or later you're going to start to get homesick, if that's your predisposition. So again, I think about 5-6 weeks, a little Xanax, and then it's cold turkey, and you just got to kind of get used to, hey, I'm going to be away and I got to get used to it, and I'll be back over Thanksgiving, and that's how the way they have to look at it.
Dr. Rick, there's been a lot of talk about Noah Lyles lately, and the recent talk I've heard is Noah Lyles versus Tyreek Hill, who would win in a race. Would Noah Lyles blow away Tyreek Hill, or is that actually going to be something that could be close? Because Tyreek Hill is he's football fast, but I don't know if he's track fast.
Well, so Noah Lyles said something that was really kind of junky, in my opinion. He said he wants to run 100 meters off 50 meters. And then he wants it to be a formed race, meaning starting blocks, et cetera, and all those things are in Noah Lyles' favor, right? I mean, Tyreek Hill's just used to standing there at the 0-yard line, running 40 yards, saying, "All right, your 40 time is 4.2," and now he's going to put him in 100 meters. Noah Lyles is going to get the benefit of the starting blocks, who he practices all the time. Tyreek Hill's probably never been in them, or if he's been in them, it's infrequent. And he's going to make it a formed race where lanes, et cetera. So I think Noah Lyles is greatly tilting the scales. Having said that, I think that Noah Lyles would beat Tyreek Hill 10 times out of 10. He's just faster. And as you said, he's track fast. That's different to being football fast. Now, you want to stick Noah Lyles on the football field and see if he could guard Tyreek Hill, then I think you have a different issue. But at this point, if I'm Tyreek Hill, I'm not running him in 100 meters, with starting blocks, a starting gun, blah, 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 blah. That's just unfair.
Dr. Rick, what's the young phenom, the 16-year-old track star? I just recently saw footage of him on the football field. He was just light speeds past everyone. What was the 16-year-old kid's name? I can't remember his name.
Quincy Wilson.
You think football will be in his future, or you think they're going to try to steer him away from that?
This is such a great question. So here's a kid, who's obviously going to be a phenom 400 meter. He's never going to make any money in track and field, but he isn't going to get hurt that bad in track and field. And should he play football? And I would tell you, I'm not a big fan of this kid playing football because I think he's too little and he's going to be too small. But if he's lightning fast and he's Bob Hayes, he probably can make some money playing football. He's not going to make that much money running track. I don't care how good he is.
Remember Ronaldo Nehemiah?
Of course.
Yes. He got hit one play, Joe. He was done.
That's all it took.
He got hit one play. He was done. Hey, Dr. Rick, we're going to try to jump around a little bit. I see a lot of white women still today with Botox injection on their lips. I got a friend of mine who's a young friend, has Botox, and now she regrets doing it. What can you do if you had Botox and you want to get your lips shrunken again?
Wait. All you got to do is wait it out because there's no way to. I don't think there's any way to reverse it. Botox basically is a bacteria, and what it does is it kills the muscle nerve endings, so that you don't have the muscle working anymore. That's why it gets rid of your creases, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, it lasts about 5 to 6 months, depending on the type, and then after that, it kind of dissipates. And then if you need it, if you want more, you got to get another injection. So based on that, I would say you're kind of out of luck for about 6 months. You're going to have big whatever, or no wrinkles, or can't smile, or whatever you're trying to do. And then after the 6 months, you're back in business and you can kind of get after it.
Dr. Rick, this is kind of an odd question. How long does medicine stay in our body? Like, if I take a Tylenol, how long is that in my system? And how does medicine leave our system? Do we just get rid of it like food the same similar way, or does it stay in our bodies for a long period of time?
Well, it's a good question. So every medicine has a different half-life. Tylenol has a half-life of about 6 hours, meaning that you have half the strength in 6 hours, and then every 6 hours, 50% of the Tylenol goes away. And so that's Tylenol. Every drug has a different half-life. And most of the drugs are either peed out or get dissipated by your lungs, and that's rare. So I would tell you that most drugs are in your body not very long, 2 days, 3 days, and then that's it. And the big problem with some drugs is the cumulative effect. So if you take them every day, then they do start to accumulate if it takes 3 or 4 days to get rid of them, and that's where the problem comes in.
Dr. Rick, let's talk about fish, seafood. What's the good fish? What's a bad fish?
Did I lose you?
No, we're here. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us? We got you.
We got you. We can hear you. Can you hear me?
Joe.
Yeah, we hear you.
Joe.
Can you not hear us? Yeah, Dr. Rick.
Am I froze?
You got it? No, you're good.
We can hear you.
Ah.
Try refreshing the page. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you, Dr. Rick. We got you.
We can hear you.
We can hear
I can see you.
Joe.
I can see you.
Yeah, you may have to just refresh. I definitely heard him.
Yep. He was driving a car, I believe.
Yeah, he probably just got in a bad area.
I hope he didn't have an accident.
There we go. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, I
there
don't know
you
what
are.
happened. We heard you.
Yeah, we're
We
back.
had you. We had you the whole time. We could hear you and everything.
Hey, Doc, explain to us good fish and bad fish.
I think that all fish is pretty good. Bad fish are like tilapia and fish that are bottom feeders, so they eat a lot of junk. Their diets are not good, and B, fish that are not fatty. So what do we want? We want fat fish that are very fatty and that live at mid depths in the ocean, not bottom feeders, and not fish that have been alive forever and ever and ever because they accumulate certain kind of metals. So the best kind of fish would be a fatty fish that lives at maybe 200 feet, 150 feet, and not the bottom, and a fish that doesn't have a long lifespan. So tuna and some of these fish live so long they have cumulative deposits of all kinds of different A diseases, B metals, etc. And those you don't want to eat those fish.
So if I go fishing, Dr. Rick, up the street in Lake St. Louis, is there anything I should have to worry about in the lakes, in lake fish like that, and freshwater fish?
I don't think there's any giant tuna in there, and I don't think there's anything at the bottom you got to worry about. So I
Catfish.
would say yeah, catfish. So I would say no. Um, I would say most of those fish are actually probably pretty healthy and actually pretty good for you.
Dr. Rick, let's talk about wine. We talk about these subjects quite a bit. Red wine, white wine. What's the best?
Probably red wine. If you're talking about glass for glass, red wine has more resveratrol, um, has a little less alcohol content, which doesn't really matter. Be a little healthier for you than white wine.
Dr. Rick, why does taking a Claritin keep me from getting a headache if I go too long?
Because Claritin's a perfect medication for a lot of things. So Claritin is going to shut down that. I mean, if you get hives or you have a very light allergic reaction to food, Claritin is a great drug. So I would say you can take a Claritin. It is going to stop you from getting a headache because it stops that sulfite inflammatory response. And I think that's a very, very. Not many people know about that, but that's a very good thing to do.
Dr. Rick, I got a two-part question. We're coming into the cold and flu season. How important is it to get local honey?
Well, I'm a big fan. So again, if you're gonna get allergies and you're gonna get sick, you're gonna get sick with a local virus or whatever, a local bacteria. And so the honey from local bees has the local antibodies that you need. So getting honey from Massachusetts may taste great, but it's not going to give you the same anti-inflammatory effect or the same effect that's going to fight off allergies, etc. So if you're taking it and you want to get the ancillary benefit of, hey, this stuff's going to help my allergies or help me from getting sick, you want local honey. If all you're doing is trying to put it on your waffles because you love honey on your waffles, it doesn't matter where it comes from.
What
So,
about a
Dr. Rick,
patient that's what about a patient that's diabetic? Can they drink honey?
No,
No.
oh,
no,
really?
they shouldn't drink honey.
So, Dr. Rick, so is if I go to another country and I get COVID or a different type of cold or virus, is that going to be different than if I had COVID in the United States, or is it going to be the same strand, or is it going to be totally different because it grew up in a different area?
Well, you got two things going on. So all the people that have COVID, let's say in Kirkwood, where the studio was, they have antibodies against that strain, and they're passing around COVID, but they're also passing around antibodies, just like your family members might be passing around COVID, but also some antibodies. Now you go to wherever, Chile, and you get COVID. None of those you don't have any of those antibodies because you haven't been around those people, and you don't have any of the antibodies from the strains. There's nothing fighting the strain. So theoretically, um, if you get COVID in another country, A, the strain's going to be different, and that's almost assured. And B, you're probably going to get a lot sicker. Now, the only way that wouldn't be would be as if the strain in Chile, let's say, were not very strong. But if the strains are the same strength-wise, you're going to get much sicker away from home than near home because of the antibodies in the environment.
Dr. Rick, explain to us about cinnamon and black seed oil.
Well, first of all, cinnamon, I think they're both very good for you. Cinnamon for sure is very good for you, and black seed oil I think is very good for you.
I think you hit a button on accident. Yeah, I think Dr. Rick hit a button on accident.
We lost him again.
I think he accidentally closed out.
Yeah, he hit the wrong button.
I think so.
He'll be back. That's why it's good to be a doctor.
Right? Him being in the car was probably
It's good to be a doctor. This is the Charlie Tuna Show. This portion of the show, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Snooks, Worldwide Technology, Delmar Garden, Victory Men's Health, Ameren, Illinois. We just did a podcast with Ameren, Illinois, up in Glen Carbon, Illinois. Dr. Rick will be back with us in just a moment.
That Ameren show live, but it premiered today also on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, he probably. Yeah. He's on. How can you watch that podcast? What channels can you look at?
You go on, you can search Punchline Productions 314 on YouTube or Instagram, and Charlie Tuna Show on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, I noticed it was on iHeartRadio. Dr. Rick, there you are. We don't want to lose you.
I don't want to get lost.
You must be driving.
No, I'm not. I'm sitting here.
Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, wait, Dr. Getz, since we were talking about cinnamon and spices, I can't remember the exact spice, but I remember there was always a trend of people trying to eat as much of this spice to get high. I remember that in high school. Why is there some spices that you can't have too much of, or have dangerous?
That's a good question. So the black, you talked about black seed. That's an anti-inflammatory, and cinnamon more is an antioxidant. But I don't really think there's too many spices that are going to make you sick, especially if you're eating in reasonable doses. So no, I wouldn't be too crazy about it. I wouldn't be too worried about that unless it's some odd spice, that we don't normally use. But by and large, most spices are pretty safe.
And I remember it was morning glory seeds. What morning glory seeds? People would try to eat like 100.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They'll make you sick.
They'll make you sick. Yeah, I don't even know what that was about. I remember people doing that in high school.
Dr. Rick, what do people do about skin diseases? Is that a big problem? Could it be from the sun, or what is that from?
Well, most skin diseases. So first of all, when you're young, no one tells you you're supposed to put on suntan lotion and or sunscreen and stay out of the sun. So all of us, certainly our age, we spent I grew up in Miami, spent a lot of time in the sun. There was no sunscreen. So that's going to damage your skin, and that is, and what are called free radicals are going to predispose you to cancer. There are many skin diseases, and the big ones you have to worry about are the ones that predispose you to cancer: basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell, melanoma. And then some skin diseases are just manifestations of your disease. So like some people with psoriasis get this flaking or the skin manifestation, and that skin disease is basically just because you have a systemic disease, i.e. psoriasis. So by and large, what's the take-home message? Stay out of the sun if you can. If you got to get in the sun, wear a hat, use a lot of sunscreen. Yes, you look a lot better with the suntan if you're white, but that's not really very healthy.
That's not true. Hey, Dr. Rick, give us your health tip of the week.
So the health tip of the week is omega-3s. And, you kind of brought it up a little bit. We didn't really get into it that much. But if you're not eating a lot of fatty fish, grouper, halibut, etc., go get yourself, it's inexpensive, some omega-3 supplements. You take 2 every day, and then you don't have to worry that you're not getting enough omega-3s in your diet. But omega-3s are good for your skin, good for dementia, good for heart disease, very healthy.
Dr. Rick, how can someone reach you if they need to contact you for medical assistance?
Oh, I love that. So we're at the U.S. Center for Sports Medicine, And the phone number is 314-713-9222.
Dr. Rick, thank you. I hope you have a very safe and healthy week. We'll talk to you again next Thursday, okay?
I'll talk to you guys next Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rick. Dr. Rick. Always good, Dr. Rick. You want to go to next? We're gonna have Kira Andersen and talk about mental health.
Yeah, you're gonna go directly to that, right?
Yeah, let's go right to that.
All right, I'm going. I'll see you Monday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Welcome back to the Charlie Tuna Show.
Well, got a happy Thursday. This is the Charlie Tuna podcast. And you know what? I'm starting to like this podcast deal. I like it. You can get real personal. Of course, I never say anything bad. On Thursday night, of course, we have the Dr. Rick Lehman. But the first part of my podcast on Thursday is the lovely, vivacious Kira Andersen. Hello, Kira.
Hey.
You can't compliment her too much because she may get offended. You got to be really nice and cool. What's going on with you?
Compliment away. Just don't call me baby or babe.
Don't worry.
Compliment away.
No
My-
1940s compliments.
Don't worry. My daughter saw the podcast last week. She said, "Please don't call that lady baby." So don't worry.
Exactly.
She said,
You
"Don't
said it
do
last week? I didn't even notice.
No,
I
she
didn't-
just
I
told
didn't
me
know.
don't. She was hoping I
Okay.
wouldn't say it. She said, "Do not say it."
She knew what was going to happen.
She knows her father. Hey, how's your week been? First week back to school. I saw you today. You look like you was almost stressed out. Tell us about
Well, thanks, Charlie.
it.
It's been great. I've got all 3 kids, full day. So 1 drop off, 1 pickup. So it's been good. I mean, it's been really, our life has been busy lately because I launched my own podcast and my personal business. My health and wellness coaching has picked up. And I'm raising money for cancer research through Pedal the Cause this fall. So our lives have been a little bit crazy. But now we'll get into a routine. But yes, Charlie, I may have looked tired this morning.
No, you didn't look tired at all.
stressed.
Not at all. Not at all. You look like as my friends this morning said, she looks like a small model.
What does that mean? Is that a thing?
Very, very, she looked very professional. Like she could walk out on stage in model clothing. It said she was very impressive. You
Oh,
answered anyway.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And by the way, we got to say hello to Joseph Davis, who's now a newsman. 550
Yeah, something like that.
KTRS.
Yeah, reading the news.
I told you one day you were going to be going to bigger and higher places. I keep telling people that.
But you out of touch.
I forgot. Boy, I'm out of touch. If you would have seen all the people today, you would have said, no, you're
Not out of touch. That's why you went back to Starbucks. That's why.
Not out of touch whatsoever.
Not even a little bit.
No, not even. And out of touch has nothing to do with your age, really. Because sometimes the older you get, the more in touch and the more people you know.
That's true.
There she is. I
Sorry
said
about
something.
that.
I gave you a compliment and you froze.
Ran away.
Oh,
That's
the
okay.
internet went bonkers.
Yeah.
That's
What
the good old St. Louis internet.
I mean, seriously. So funny story. But first, I want to tell you why I looked tired and stressed this morning.
You
I
didn't
wasn't
look
stressed.
tired. You didn't look tired or stressed.
That's too. It's too late. You already said it. It's too
Yeah,
late.
you
You
didn't-
can't take it back.
So anywho, I went to the Fits in the Tantrums concert, and OAR was the main, artist last night. I didn't go to bed till midnight, and I normally go to bed between 9:30 and 10.
Oh, that's late.
So I only got 5 hours and like 15 minutes of sleep. A little tired. And I taught today, and I've had meetings all day. But that concert, I've told you, Charlie, and I think we've talked about Joe. I love live music. Like,
Me
I
too.
love it. I'm always just so astonished by people that have good voices, like this like talent that I don't have. I'm like, God bless you with a beautiful voice and
Mhm.
music. They're able to, and I'm just like in awe of it.
I
It's
am
amazing.
too. I love live. I like it in live from the beginning when they even walk out on
Right.
stage. I like that part too when they walk out on stage. I
Yeah.
love
It's
live.
fun.
So, are you a listener at a concert, or are you a participant at a concert? Do you dance and do all that jumping up and down, or do you just enjoy the show?
She probably
Me or Charlie?
do you dance?
Both.
You no
Both.
you no I don't
Okay,
Me?
dance
so
No
let me
way.
anymore.
do it.
I
I'm
used
not
to.
dancing. No, I'm
I
just
used to.
I like to watch. I'm enjoying the show. I may move a little bit, but nah, I'm not doing all that.
Oh, I'm
Just
into
like
it.
just
That's
like
too
the
much.
the DNC last night, Stevie Wonder, and Pink is gonna perform tonight. Pink and maybe Beyonce, maybe that's a
Beyonce not
surprise.
coming. Stop trying.
Maybe.
Stop trying. She's not coming. Stop trying.
Where?
At the Democratic National Convention,
Oh.
Pink is gonna be there tonight.
Mm.
Good. Hey, how do you handle day by day stress? I mean, you had it today. You said you were
Take a nap.
tired. You didn't look tired at all. You look very relaxed, very, very professional as you always do.
Thank
And
you.
Joe, it was so funny when she walked away to get her coffees. I was with Bill, and Dean, and his wife, and Bill said, "You know, we're gonna talk about you when you leave." She
And I was
said,
like,
"Go ahead."
yes, go
That's what
ahead.
I did. I told him the whole story when she left.
All
That's great.
while I was going to grab that coffee, you told my whole story.
I condensed your entire life story. It was so condensed. I'll tell you the honest to God truth. It was so condensed that Aaron, his wife, pulled up a photo of your husband, your ex-husband, your husband. She sure
Really?
did. She pulled up a photo of your husband.
Uh,
Yeah, that's how impressed they were with you. So you affect people. You have met those people for about 5 minutes a day, but you affected them. They felt she's cool.
That's so nice.
Yes. Yeah, I told her I condensed your whole story within 2 minutes.
I'd be interested to
that's
hear
tough.
The main thing
your.
Oh, there goes. He just got a phone call.
is mom.
What was that?
Is
One
that
of the
your
best
daughter?
moms in the world.
Who is
Can you
it?
We
guys hear
lost you.
me?
We lost you for a second. I thought you got a phone call because it
Can
went.
you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
I'm gonna have to break a minute.
No, we got you. Oh, yep, it was a phone call. That's what it was.
His
Yep.
daughter.
Yep. So now he can't hear us, so he's gonna have to leave and then come back. Yep. That's exactly what happened. I tried to
Where?
tell him. I tried to put it on Do Not Disturb, but he didn't understand how to do it.
Oh, Charlie.
I know it's one of those things. Technology.
You said technology. Was it? You got a phone
Yeah,
call?
yeah, phone call. I don't know how to put on Do Not Disturb.
We're gonna figure it out.
I think I'm
We'll
gonna
make it
have to
really easy
just
for you.
do. I'll just do my iPad from now on.
You can do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the iPad from now. But go ahead, Kira. Keep talking, my dear.
Okay, so you asked, how do I handle day-to-day life and the stress that
Yes,
I have by just living with 3 children as a solo parent?
I'm
And
talking
also,
about 7 days a week now.
yeah, I know. So there's a couple tools that I utilize. One, I do have a nanny that helps me. Now that the kids are in school, she helps me keep laundry and dishes going. It's not like she does everything because it's constant with 3 children and myself because I'm a fitness instructor. So I always have workout clothes, day clothes to wash. And so it's like all of us have a ton of laundry. So she helps keep that moving along. So that's really helpful. I also meditate. So I started meditating years ago, and that really helps me calm my nervous system before I go to bed. Because ideally, all of us should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Some people are like, oh, I can do it on 5. No, our bodies and our minds need, seriously, I'll say 6 to 8, just to be generous, hours of sleep. So I'm very protective around that sleep. For instance, last night I did not have enough sleep, so tonight I will be going to bed early, right after I put my kids down because it's super important. So I put boundaries around my sleep. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'll put a meditation on that helps me go to sleep. I'm also working out is a huge de-stressor for me. It always has been, mentally, physically, emotionally. If I do it in the morning, the rest of my day is way better. So that is a non-negotiable. Also, eating healthy and right, fueling my body with the good stuff. I talk about this on and on forever and ever to everybody. Amen. Because it is so important to fuel your body well, because your body and your mind are not going to act well. They're not going to be as sharp as they could be if you're putting a bunch of junk in. Just is what it is. It's like a beautiful machine. If you're putting crappy oil and dust and nasty stuff in, it's going to have a hard time moving, right? And it's not going to last as long. So my goal with my children now to be a solo parent is to live as long as I possibly can. And guess what? Stress will make you sick. In fact, I just had a doctor on my podcast that is doing research on stress in mice that have cancer, and it's black and white. Like, the clinical research is black and white. Mice that are stressed, they're metastasized like 10 times faster than mice that have a vacation, than when their nervous systems are at rest.
I've got two pertinent questions that are, one you may not like, one you will. The first question is, what about when people, if you're married or whatever, and money problems come up? How's the best way to handle that with stress?
Okay, good question. First thing, money is the number one issue, problem among marriages. It is what it is. Kyle and I did marriage counseling. We talked to priests. We talked to non-clergy people. Money is number one. And I remember Kyle being like, it's not going to be a problem. We make enough money. No, we have different ways of thinking about money. We just do. I spend my money on something. He spends his money on something else. It was definitely a clash for us. And I think it is for a lot of people. So my situation is a little unique. I mean, if your marriage is based off of love and you really are two partners that have come together to try to create a life together, and the money is your money, I think if everybody's doing the very best they can to bring in income, it's like if each person is trying to do their best and you're doing the best you can. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting topic, and I'm probably not the most educated person on that, because I've worked since I was 14 years old bagging groceries, and I've always brought in income and not had to rely on anyone else. And also, Charlie and Joe, think about this. So many people live outside of their means, right? They're keeping up with the Joneses. Everybody's got iPhones. Everybody's got Nike shoes. Everybody's got the best of the best. We're spending $8 on a coffee. So it's like, look at your budget. This is what I do with my clients, actually. When they come to me, we look at what they're eating, how they're sleeping, their stress management, everything. And if there's anything to do with finances, I'm like, you got to look at what you're spending your money on. So I suggest people take their credit card statement, their bank statement, find different, yellow for fun, green for food, blue for, presents or gifts or whatever, and highlight where you're spending your money so you can put it in a pie chart, or even just look and realize, just knowing, hey, we spend a lot of money going out to eat. We could be ordering Costco and making our own food, very simple, clean,
right,
not expensive meals.
Right.
But out to eat is entertainment and people love it. Great. If you can afford it, do it. But if it's putting you over the edge and you're really tight,
that's not good.
It's not good. And also, if you're
that's horrible.
Right. It's
it's hard not to DoorDash or Uber Eats. It's real
easy.
Hard not to.
It's the easy button. The easy button. And that's fine, right? Every once in a while. But if you're struggling financially, you really need to take a look at your life. Like, where am I spending my money? The other part too is there are resources, Charlie. Like, if someone is really struggling financially, they cannot pay their bills, they cannot keep a roof over their head, there are resources available.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question number 2. Mm-hmm. Are you sitting down?
I am.
What about couples that are married? This is for married couples that have sexual tension. How does that stress related? Because you mentioned something earlier, a lot of times people are with their mate because they look good, not because of the other aspect, and that gets old. How do you handle a couple sexual tension?
I mean, that is so beyond my scope of
I knew,
anything.
I knew it. I knew it.
My opinion. You want to know my opinion?
Yeah, I want to know it.
Because I hear from a lot of my friends, either like, especially when you have kids, like you stop connecting in that way. And it's so important. One thing that my stepmom actually, advice she gave to one of my best friends when they were getting married was she gifts everybody candelabras. And I started to do this with other people too. And she gifts it to the couple and she says, have dinner over candlelight together once a week, whether it's at home or out to eat as a couple to stay connected. And I know that's really hard to do, but again, it's like anything. You have to put boundaries around your relationship and make it really important, you know, and start there connecting that place. Because if a woman doesn't feel, here's the thing, here's what I've learned. Again, I'm not an expert. No one takes my advice and like run it to your therapist, because I'm not. This is what I've been told over time. Women who only connect in that way intimately, they feel the love, like they feel connected, then they let themselves go. From my understanding, it's the opposite for men. Men don't feel connected until they're intimate in that way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Of course. Yes, it did.
So it's different. It's the old, you know, you read the book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or whatever.
Right.
True. Why?
That's true.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's true.
And the other part, because Kyle and I did some couples counseling, we've done retreats, because we wanted to have the best marriage we possibly could for for us and our children. I mean, we waited till I was 30, he was 40 to get married, and finally you choose someone to spend the rest of your life with. It's not easy.
Okay.
I mean, from my opinion, okay, what? You want to keep going?
What happens if you're a young couple just married?
Yep.
And the first thing young couples do, and I think it's wrong. No,
What,
it's
have a
just
baby?
me. It's have babies right away. I think you should wait and enjoy yourself together first and have baby. How do you feel about that? Joe, go ahead if you got a question too. I'm sorry.
I don't know. That's a good question. No, that's a good question.
Okay.
I don't have no babies, hopefully.
But you know,
never say hopeless. Nothing like children. Nothing.
Boy,
Well,
yeah,
we
I'm
can
just
say
saying.
I
I would hope I knew about it.
If you
like
would a loved one.
Oh,
So here's
my mom just told me she doesn't even care if it's out of wedlock. She said she'll take a baby mama at this point. She literally just said, she said, I just want a baby. I'll take a baby mama. I was like, I don't know.
Can we pump the brakes for a second? Let's just pump the
Seriously.
brakes. So, okay, there's a couple different schools of thought here. Okay, so you're asking me, Kira Andersen. My opinion is, so I've seen some couples that are from small towns, and they literally are high school sweethearts and grow up together, right? And they grow together, and it works, right? I think that's a rare thing, but it happens. I've seen several relationships in my family. Are you guys still there?
Yes, ma'am. We're here.
Okay, because I just got big.
I zoomed you up. Yeah, I just zoomed you up.
I zoomed you up.
I don't want people to see me get up from my chair.
Oh,
we wanted to see you.
Yeah, we were focused in on your.
Keep going.
Okay, so Joe, stop doing that.
Right.
I think we grow so much as humans, our brains. Okay, we're talking about brain development, life experiences between 20 and 30. Okay, our brain is still developing in our early 20s. We're kind of figuring out typically who we are. Maybe we're finishing up school, we're starting our career, we're trying to figure out, who am I separated from my parents in my hometown? Okay, so if you can spend the 20s, again, there are some outliers. I don't want to shame people who got married young, but our brains are literally not done developing in your early 20s. Okay, so if you can grow as yourself and be a whole person, like Kira, as an adult at the age of 30, decided to marry Kyle, which, no offense, men, you guys mature a little later, at the age of 40.
True.
He was a baked human. Kyle Andersen had his career. He knew what he loved. He had great hobbies. Here comes Kira, 30-year-old. I knew what I loved. I had hobbies. We were able to create. My little child just ran into my.
That was great timing. You created that right there.
I found something very interesting, kids. So I think rushing into a marriage is never a good idea, no matter what age you are. But you really need to know who yourself is as a person, so that you can make that other half of that person. Because when two people get married, right, it's like two become one. Baby,
That's
I'm on
so
the
true.
phone.
This is great. I love this.
Lord help me. Dane, for real. So that's my opinion. I think waiting to get
Well,
married is
I agree.
in most cases is the smarter choice.
you
Some people worry about fertility, but I just think it's risky to get married young because you don't know who you are.
here's
Yeah,
something about
my parents got married at 19. They've been married for 40 years. And I always tell them, I always say, you guys known each other longer than you've known yourself. Because I was like, you didn't know each other. You didn't know who you were when you got married. It's like you grew up together. It's crazy.
Some people
What-
do that, and like, I hope your parents have a beautiful, happy marriage. And then
Oh,
some
ever.
people just like live simultaneously together, and they're not actually like.
Right.
my wife was 17.
Because you're a different person.
My wife was 17 when I got married. I was young, 20. We were both young. We were very young. You know, the one thing that gets
That
me,
was back in the
we-
day. Oregon
I, I,
Trail.
I go out quite a bit, as both of you know. It keeps me young. So I see a lot of ladies out, ladies' night with their friends, and you sometimes can hear their conversation. 80% of the time they're complaining about their lifestyle, their husband, or if they talk to a man, I don't know what it is about me, but women seem to just let go and tell me their personal things. And I can't believe people share personal things with a stranger about what happens in their home.
My goodness,
That gets
happens to
me,
me all
Kara.
the time too.
That happens to you. I mean, you
All
would.
the time.
That's how I met one of the girl I loved. It happened like that. But of course, I had an answer for it. But I don't, that just let me know a lot of people out here are very lonely, even if they've got a mate, Kara.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at. I mean, again, I'm looking at it from a solo parent of 3 children. But even before Kyle got sick, like, so much is going on to like connect and actually talk about, other than if bills are being paid, if things are being taken care of, where we're, are we going to see family? Like, to actually connect, that's what I'm talking about with those candelabras. It's like, you've got to have boundaries to protect your relationship, or they do stray. Like, it's broken. There's a clash, and you don't have that foundation. And so, yeah, people do, unfortunately seek other places to find,
Right.
friendship and connection.
At least once or twice a week, every week, I'm not kidding. I run into and meet people. It's ladies, 99% of the time. And we become friends, and most of these ladies are married.
Mm-hmm.
And they share, I become their friend. That's those scriptures I send out every morning. I send out 35 scriptures every morning.
Mm.
I don't do a mass. I send them out individually.
Mm.
And people like that. And these people, I will share this with you. Every one of these ladies is in a relationship some sort of way, and they daily read my prescription. And these scriptures actually, Kira, help some of these people. Just a little thing like that because they're living an unhappy life. I hate to say that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean,
You
and you're
agree with
spreading
that?
God, you're spreading
Yeah.
God's word, right? And there's hope in, and I'm Christian, whether you're Christian or not, what you believe in, but you're spreading words of hope. And a
Yeah.
lot of people need that, no matter who you are, especially with what's going on in our world and the stress and pressure of just our environment that we live in. It's hard, but I mean, bringing it back to marriage is tough.
Oh, I love marriage. I love marriage. Oh,
I
I
love
love
it too.
relationships. I
I
love
love
relationships.
I love
The love.
I love, if I had a companion, I can have a companion right now, but I'm very, very picky. I love,
I'm the same way. Yeah.
man, that's the one thing in life when I see a happy couple, whether they're married or just dating, sometimes I just stare and look at them. I said, wow, I wish I was that happy. I'm happy, but not that happy. You know what I mean, Kara?
Well, yeah, having that connection and your person, someone there. I mean, I also loved being married. I loved it. Now, was our marriage perfect? No, but we were both willing to work on it, which is what it
Well,
takes.
I
And
got
then
a personal,
sure,
I got a personal question right now.
here it comes.
Would you ever get remarried?
Yes.
You would.
Oh yeah. If
hmm
it was the right person for me and my kids, for
hmm
sure.
Would you feel bad?
No. No.
hmm
When you have a spouse that's been sick for as long as Kyle was sick, and how young my children are, and how, I mean, I turned 40 this year, call it young or not, I think there's a lot of life ahead of me and for my
Oh
children.
yeah, heck
I
yeah.
would love to have a partner,
Right.
someone to
You,
help me, help lead this house, and just a best friend,
Joe,
like,
you seen her? Joe, you should have seen her this morning in Starbucks. She walks in. She has this incredible look. She's always pulling her hair back. And people thought she was a young girl, which she is. You got a tremendous, even my two friends said, boy, she's got a tremendous life ahead of her. And you really do. I'm serious.
thank you.
And thank you for letting Joe and I be part of your
Right.
wonderful life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Sure.
mean that.
You
We're
guys,
gonna
I
let
mean,
we're gonna let you go now. I want you to get back to those kids because I don't want them to tear your room up. Because I know they're coming back. See, you got young kids that disturb you while you doing the podcast. Joe knows I've got my daughters in their 30s and they disturb me every day when I'm on podcast or radio. They don't care. But that's your children. No matter how old they are, they're your kids.
That's why I don't have kids yet.
You will.
I
you
know
will.
I got a
Oh, you
couple
don't.
years. I got
Oh,
about
you don't know about. Just go up to a
2-3
schoolyard and
years.
throw a rock up in there and
Uh-uh.
hit somebody and startle your baby.
That's fine.
Kira, you have a wonderful week. Maybe I'll see you this weekend, Joe.